What's this? A new Pikmin game's been announced? Where? In the 3DS focused Nintendo Direct? Well, let's see it then. What's up guys, it's Daz here. But you don't really care, as I'll be honest. This kinda caught me off guard. I was aware there was a Nintendo Direct this week, but because it was 3DS based, I decided to give it a miss, since I'm not really such a huge fan of the handheld device. But lo and behold, Pikmin 3DS is here, so let's delve into it and see what secrets are being held within. So starting off, we see a large purple ship flying onto the screen, looking similar to the head of the ship from Pikmin 2, though this time coming with an odd helicopter-like fan at the top. If anything, it looks like the baby child of that ship and the UFOs from Chibi Robo Ziplash. Just a warning, this will be a running theme, the Chibi Robo connections. Out of its beam hole comes Olimar, so this thing is a lot bigger than originally expected, or Olimar's severely shrunk in size. Now while there's very little to say about his actual design, we can see he lands right next to a broken plant pot, sticking to the environmental aesthetic of Pikmin 3, which also had broken plant pots. And this already gives it a bit of a lead over Chibi Robo Ziplash, which many people have already started to compare this game to. In this shot we can also see in the foreground some coloured Canastoma caudatum. I still can't quite say that fluidly, but you know what it is. No, it's the flowers that are used to represent the Pikmin. It's what they're based off. It's the flower type they are, if that makes any sense. It's the Pikmin flower. Once firmly on the ground, Olimar looks up to the ship from the bottom screen. It can be presumed that the ship performs some kind of exiting animation on the top screen, but we do not see it here. Once the player has control of Olimar, two bubble-like buttons appear at the bottom of the screen. The one on the right representing the whistle and is used to call the Pikmin to you, and the one on the left is something we'll be seeing later in the trailer. I'll come to it then. Now as Olimar walks to the right, we come to a bridge made of a large light blue spade. At least that's the impression I'm getting from it. But the video soon fades across it. I see what you're doing, editor. You don't want to show us those golden acorns. This is likely because this is the first level in the game, and so collecting them will provoke a tutorial cutscene. So let's move on for now. I'll come back to those later. Coming to this spot here, and whistling reveals 4 red Pikmin to pop out of a nearby bush of 3-leaf clovers. Now I do have a brief question here. Why does the player choose to do so here? It could just be the fact that this bush always indicates there's a presence of Pikmin nearby that you can gather, but at least in the context of this moment, there is no indication that the player should whistle. This is especially the case if this is the first level, but then again, there is always the chance that there is a hint towards whistling here somewhere off screen, but Or maybe Olimar just flat out does it himself if you walk too far. Anyway, 4 Pikmin pop out, and they're more animated and characteristic than ever before, jumping out of the bush like ninjas and sticking the superhero landing. Once back in control, the Pikmin immediately run to Olimar's side, producing a new bubble icon representing Pikmin this time. Whoa! This is used identically to the icons in the original series, whereby you can select and preview which Pikmin type you're about to use. In this case, red is the only option, and so they're the only icon being represented right now. And just before we move on, I'd like to predict that there could be an opportunity to include a bush of 4-leaf clovers to tell the player that there are rare Pikmin hiding within. Not too certain on the context for this, but it could be done, since I only see 3-leaf clovers in this clump. Now, even as the Pikmin follow behind Olimar, we can see more character within them in how the first 5 are running along normally, whilst the one at the back seems to be concerned that he's trailing behind, shown by how his arms are up in front of him. Also, we've subtly gained 2 red Pikmin in this transition. Sneaky. This scene also reveals a really nice attention to detail in how we can see a broken mug in the background, presumably to show the origins of the shards used to create the bridge at this moment. To create the bridge, you must tap onto the screen to throw Pikmin to that part of the level and then have them build the bridge for you piece by piece, identically to Pikmin 3. Nice! And some very minor details here. When a Pikmin is being thrown, they teleport away from their original spot, much like Pikmin 3, which was implemented to make the game run more smoothly, as the first 2 games had Pikmin rearrange themselves to make sense, which often led to throwing the wrong Pikmin in the mess of movement. Also, while being thrown, Pikmin do not curve and spin like they do in the Super Smash Bros. Series. Instead, they just kinda sit on air until they have to prepare for landing. And one more, Olimar can throw a Pikmin off screen depending on the curvature of the throw, but they will walk onto the screen to get on with their task anyway. Once the bridge is done, it glows for a moment to indicate to the player. Also, we can now see that the Pikmin have upgraded from Leaf Pikmin to Bud Pikmin. What this likely means is that the Pikmin will slowly mature over time the longer you have them, rewarding the player if they get to keep their Pikmin alive, as they'll become more powerful and efficient as you progress. Meet a new enemy! What's its name? I don't know. There doesn't seem to be a locking on system like the third game, but perhaps there'll be a Piclopedia type thing in one of the menus? Please? Don't make it a generic nameless enemy, please. Its design is awfully bland for my taste, but hey, maybe it's just a baby, and its mother will be something more than just a yellow texture. Even still, it's nice to see something new. The fighting technique is slightly different in that the Pikmin do not latch onto an enemy and bash them with their heads. Instead, they now bounce on top of the enemy and kick them from above instead. Again, kinda like a ninja. And I expect it's not a far stretch to say that the flower Pikmin will be the fastest at doing this action. Also, the enemy's health is now no longer represented by a depleting circle, and is instead a bar of health. Bit of a shame if you ask me. On top of that, excuse the pun, it seems the first hit does more damage than the other hits. This could be for a few reasons. One could be that the first hit just always does more damage, another could be that the enemy was caught off guard, or more likely, maybe, was because it was hit in the front and more at the eyes, as some enemies in Pikmin 3 often had a specific weak spot which would be especially effective if hit. From hitting this enemy from the front, the Pikmin is also unable to bounce on top and so bounces right back to Olima's side. Another thing to note from this action scene, I know there's a lot of notes apparently, is that one of the Pikmin ends up hitting another Pikmin in midair, I think, causing it to fall to the ground and back to Olima instead of helping the fight. Why? Perhaps to stop players from spamming in the same place too much, or for realism? I'm not too sure why, but it still happens, so... Once the creature is taken down, we see its ghost fade away from its body, just like the original series. Good reference, game. Curiously, this battle takes place on another bridge. For a moment I thought it could be possible to take it down from breaking the bridge, introducing environmental tactics to fights, but maybe not. Olima can't go right with an incomplete bridge anyway, so I don't know. Moving on, this next clip shows the Pikmin carrying a large trophy, harkening back to the system in the original series of collecting large things for either survival, money, or food. It's nice to see the aim isn't simply to get to the end of the level. From the first few frames of the clip, we can even see two Pikmin running away from the trophy and back to Olima, suggesting that there is no such thing as idle Pikmin. If they cannot perform a task because the object, in this case a trophy, has enough Pikmin carrying it, then they will run to Olima's side once more. Although the fact that it only needs 6 or 7 Pikmin to lift this massive thing means that they are the strongest Pikmin yet. This isn't really canonical, but realistically it is. And now we zoom out to see the dual screen view of the level, showing the full height of some sections of the level. Here we can also see some of the HUD of the game, which reveals that Olima has 3 bars of health, unlike the health wheel that he had in the original games, and we can also see how many Pikmin he has at his command. 19. Cool. And that the golden acorns appear to be some kind of collectible. Perhaps they're simply a small but common money grab, and so we're told to collect as many as we can to gain a lot of Pokos, like we did in Pikmin 2. And finally, to the right we see 3 bubbles, 2 of which are filled. Now with my vast intellect, I can tell you that they are... kind of unclear to see. Presumably the bubbles show 3 treasures which you can collect in each level, like the green stars in Super Mario 3D World. This would make the trophy the second treasure in the level and would fill in the middle bubble. But I'm not certain what the other 2 are. One kinda looks like an electrical fuse and the other some kind of chip or card, but I'm not certain. Maybe it's obvious. I don't know. Back to the bottom screen, and you may now notice that the Pikmin are now flowered up. They've been like that since the transition, but again, it's probably from lasting this long. Also, down here we can see a large golden plant. I expect when you hit it with a few Pikmin, it'll release more golden collectibles for you. And there's that Pikmin that ran away up top, in case you were wondering where it ran off to. There also looks to be a little button on the ceiling of this landmass, quite Chibi-Robo-esque. Who knows what it does? And here's a cement brick. Hopefully the stick bridge up top can hold the trophy up there. Otherwise it's landing quite harshly. Welcome to a slightly hazardous land. Here we can see that this platformer will be taking more from the Pikmin origins in how the Pikmin's abilities still show. Reds are immune to fire and can apparently pat it out now with their butts? Throw them on fire and let them do their work. Here we can also see a new icon in the Pikmin bubble. A red cross. I wonder what it means. Could it have anything to do with how none of the Pikmin are available to throw at the moment this icon appears? Jeez, I don't know. Welcome underwater, in the deepest body of water Olima's been in ever in a game so far. Now with blue Pikmin instead of red, Olima can swim underwater with a clear conscience, as the blues can swim like him. There's their icon, facing the other direction than the red one. Nice variety. Maybe the yellow ones will look straight at the camera. Up ahead are some Puckering Blinau, a brutal fish enemy introduced in Pikmin 3. It'd be nice to see a large chunk of the original enemies in the game. From this scene we can also see a little more into how Pikmin are thrown, as the reticle for throwing appears for a few more frames than before, so this shows that you can aim by holding down on the screen and Olimar will only throw Pikmin upon release of the screen. Hitting the enemy takes out more than half of its health, so they shouldn't be too big of a problem. This guy might be though. A massive, ill-looking creature, unlike any we've seen in the original games. The sudden reach up is foreshadowed by a cluster of bubbles rising from beneath the floor. Touching it causes the death of one of the Pikmin, as can be heard in-game.
Water.
Same sound effect as the original games, which is nice. And now we're underground with yellow Pikmin, with an arc so high that it reaches into the top screen. This also shows a new type of scale puzzle, unseen before. The number of lights indicate how many Pikmin are needed to weigh it down, or have the strength to pound it down. Because that's how they do it here apparently. Furthermore, with yellows, they are immune to and can conduct electricity, allowing for circuit puzzles like these to exist. Make them complete the circuit and you're on your way. Also, while it's not concretely clear, it looks like completing a circuit does not up a Pikmin's maturity like it does in Pikmin 3, so only time will make a Pikmin stronger, unless it's running distance or something that makes a Pikmin stronger. Aha! I knew there'd be a real-time strategy element somewhere in this game. To get into this hole in the wall, you need to have the Pikmin push the ore cube, while Olimar runs up high to land on it and use it as a platform. Also, this is the first time Olimar gets to climb in game, especially a vine. They don't really exist in the original series. There's sticks, but no vines. Also for the first time we see a combination of both yellows and reds at the same time. Though I must ask, will the Pikmin be able to follow Olimar into the hole, or will they get left behind until Olimar returns back into the room? Hopefully it's just an optional room or something. And here we can see just what that middle icon at the bottom is all about. Look at Olimar's back and you'll see that he doesn't just have a red backpack, he has a red jetpack, shaped identically like the logo below. I think this is Olimar's way of getting off the planet and probably back into his ship. It is a way of leaving the level early. If this is right, then it's pretty cool to see Olimar with a jetpack, and hopefully it'll be in Pikmin 4 too. During the fade we see the first few frames of Olimar turning to go into the hole in the wall. And now here's another new enemy, some kind of flying bug looking an awful lot like Shedinja the Pokemon to me. Oddly enough, they disappear upon death. Truly a ghost type. Probably have the same source of inspiration as Shedinja, I think. Now they're carrying both the golden acorns and a red Pikmin each. Now either they already came with Pikmin, or what I think is more likely, they picked up the Pikmin while they were carrying golden acorns, much like the swooping snitch bug does in the original games. We can even see the Pikmin carrying an acorn one by one to Olimar, who just glows when he receives one now. At the same time, the golden budded plant in the background is getting beaten by the Pikmin and slowly shrinks over time. I presume it releases more acorns or just one once taken out, but we don't really get to see it. Finally from this clip, at the end, Olimar throws one last Pikmin to the right and misses everything, and yet it continues to walk off screen, so perhaps there is something interactive off a little to the right. Ooh. Here are some Dandelions. They appear in the original games too. Cool. But also in the background we see another Dandelion. I think it might be a clump of spiderweb. Either way, the backgrounds look like something you'll want to pay attention to, as they could potentially be really beautiful. Just have a look at what we've seen so far. Okay, large tin flowers, massive tree leaves, the mug detail, a massive tree, what looks to be a mean looking cave entrance and rocks, underground secrets like possible fossils, and this webby vine thing. There's a lot of potential with these, at least I can see it like that, or at least there's a lot of variety options, and I like that. Volcano please. In the foreground there's some spider webs foreshadowing the prevalence of some spider type enemy in the future. Perhaps the Dweevils will make a return. Here's a massive thing, new to the series, but acting awfully similar to the nectarous dandelion from Pikmin 3, harmlessly floating above, but with riches along its body. Instead of nectar, it instead has large sacks of golden acorns. Break one to release, about 10 of them. Oh boy, the Bulbs return, but surprisingly are much bigger than usual. Maybe Olimar really has shrunk. Though this guy is like the size of that trophy from earlier, so I think these guys have just been taking heavy iron supplements or something. Either way, it's the big bad boss of probably the first world, or at least that's what I would assume. It gets its own cutscene and everything, so Its roaring though is not something that would intimidate me. But hey, at least it looks normal before it opens its mouth hole. I will admit though, its battle looks pretty intimidating. It's so close to eating everything. All it needs is the diving technique from the original series and you're a goner. I mean, look at this. Anyway, just like Pikmin 3, the weakness is its eyes, so poke it when it's in range and get out of there. Looks like you might just have to run away until you find a way to defeat it with the environment. At least, that's my prediction. And there you have it. Coming out 2017. So let's have a brief discussion, shall we? Let's have some real talk. Do I hate it? No. There's a good chance for it to go wrong, I will admit, but I think things are looking good for the game. Is this Pikmin 4? No. It's the 4th Pikmin game, but it's not Pikmin 4. It's been confirmed that Pikmin 4 is well in development, and if this was, it wouldn't say that the name is not final at the end. Don't panic. Is this not the same treatment as Chibi Robo Ziplash? I see where you're coming from. There are a good chunk of similarities considering it's not a platformer game, but it's become a platformer game, and I expect it comes from the same company, but remember this is just a spin-off, and Pikmin 4 for the NX, or maybe Wii U, but I doubt it, is still on the way. It's not Pikmin's last legs. That being said, it is very different from the usual conventions of Pikmin, mainly because the gameplay of the games are something that the 3DS just can't handle. I honestly don't mind this being a platformer as long as it keeps along with the original series as much as it can. The use of different Pikmin abilities and the prevalence of treasure makes this seem like a good thing. Ziplash is painfully out of character from the Chibi Robo series, and that is why I partially hate it. But this game seems to be going alright. And hey, maybe we'll get a ton of Pikmin amiibo now. Invincible golden Pikmin, anyone? So why is it even here? I think it has two functions. One is to act like a filler game to help with the wait for Pikmin 4. A delayed game is eventually good whilst a rushed game is forever bad, right? On top of that, this game also will probably act as a gateway game for many people to get into the series. It doesn't seem too complicated as so far we only have the original Pikmin and Olimar. But I think this is a good thing. Perhaps this genre of the game will get sequels introducing new Pikmin and characters later on, if this game doesn't feature them. I like how Bill says that this game will have action in mind, yet pretty much everything seems to show this off as being some kind of slow and puzzle-based game. Which is fine by me anyway, but it doesn't really sync up too well with what he's saying. And you know what? The potential for puzzles, concepts and ideas is already running through my head. So I'll get on that in the coming weeks. First though, I have a review to work on that will change everything. Maybe. We'll see. While you wait, why not check out my other Pikmin content? I have Let's Plays of all 3 games, as well as the mission mode for Pikmin 3 with all Platinum medals, and I am currently doing a perfect run of Pikmin 2's challenge mode. Or check out my videos from a few years ago. I used to make theories, analyses, and idea videos for Pikmin 3 before it was released, so why not look into those? Ever heard about the Umibozu? I do a lot of Pikmin stuff, okay? I'm kind of the Pikmin guy on here. Or just like me and the sound of my voice? Well, here's my Twitter. Follow me. Anyway, enjoy your time and relax. This game will be alright. I hope. Please don't mess this up. Please don't mess this up. Also, sorry for my voice. I'm apparently getting more and more sick as this video progresses. I have tonsillitis and talking for 20 minutes apparently makes it worse. My name's been Daz. You didn't really care, and I'll see you in a bit. That was a very different intonation than usual, but I'll take it.